right? Yeah. We haven't opened it yet. Don't worry. Don't worry. That all to say, welcome back to Five's a Crowd, guys.
Hi.
That's going to be a sharp edit.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. They don't need to know anything that preceded this
You
conversation.
know what we want you to know.
Yeah. We'll let you in as time develops, you know, but some of it remains between us. Let me introduce the table. I got Cam, Chris,
Hello.
Tony,
Hey.
and myself, Austin. And today we're just going to be doing an in the news vomit type thing. There's lots happening, lots been going on in our lives. And frankly, I just want to catch up with some friends.
Yeah.
Have some good
I've
time.
missed you guys. I haven't been here forever.
I know. Right? Been on your deathbed.
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
Chris
Well,
found
now
out.
we're missing Zach.
Yeah, we missed Zach technically the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And now, Tony. Oh my gosh, we missed Chris.
We don't
the
even
last 2
remember
weeks.
each other's names.
And now we're gonna.
Are
be
we even
missing Zach.
friends?
You guys are just always on my mind, so it's easy to mistake names.
Yep.
But Chris almost died from pneumonia.
No. I was sick, though. It's pretty sick. Boo.
For Chris, it's his deathbed when he can't work 90 hours a week.
I took a day off. That's how sick I was.
Entire day.
I took a day off and came home early another day.
Oh man,
Got to reset his counter. Days without day off. Back to zero now.
it's like days without incident type thing.
Shit.
I was on a roll, man.
have
7 years.
I have an unhealthy relationship with being to work every day. Like, you can go too hard in the paint with it. I'm learning this.
Yeah, dude.
Especially when you run your own business.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but everything falls on you. Yeah. Something goes wrong, you don't have anybody to blame but you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
About that.
But I'm better.
You need to get someone underneath you.
I've tried. I've tried.
Lisa not going for it, huh?
Kind of. No, not lately.
What are we talking about?
With circumstances.
We're still talking about work, right?
My hot tub
Yeah.
feels lonely. I don't get to go.
She's not joining you out there anymore?
Dude, I don't even get to go in there.
What are you talking about? Why?
Stare at it.
She doesn't let
watch
you in
the power
without
bill
her.
go up. No, she doesn't use it either.
What
So,
happened?
have some news.
What's the news?
As of the middle of November, we got approached asking to adopt a little baby girl.
Oh, dang.
Oh, like you didn't know.
I knew this.
We all knew.
This is
course.
news to you.
But
This is
we're
news to
we're
you.
excited for you guys.
Good. I don't have to pretend. Continue.
So, me and Lisa had some serious talks this last year, and we are unable to produce children. And no, it sounds terrible. We're unable to conceive children anymore. Alden was a miracle.
They practiced a lot.
I think we could have practiced a little more. But
As is every relationship.
so this was October, November. I was really hounding Lisa. I was like, let's look into adoption. I go, we're not getting any younger. So it was towards the end of October, and she finally looked into it, and we found out what the price tag was going to be. And you're $50,000 conservatively. to
Oh
adopt.
yeah, dude, it's
So-
ridiculous.
So,
So we'd have to save up for that, and we're not getting any younger. So we were wrestling with the fact that we weren't going to be able to have any more kids. And mid-November, my wife's mother calls her up, and she works with a young lady who is in a situation where she doesn't feel comfortable having a newborn child, and she called her sister, so the birth mother's sister, was going to adopt the baby and then backed out of it for reasons. And so she was talking to my mother-in-law, and she said, my sister backed out of adopting the baby. I don't know what I'm going to do. And my mother-in-law says, my daughter and my son-in-law have really wanted another kid, and would you, let me call them and see if they're interested. And as soon as it was so weird. So middle of November, I ended up not getting out of the door till later, and I don't even know why. I just was hanging out, and Lisa gets a call, and it says, hey, you know, do you have a second to talk? And she's like, yeah. And so she starts talking with her mother, and she just starts breaking down crying. And I'm like, oh no, what's going on?
Who died?
There's nobody left to kill. No, I'm just kidding. She starts crying, and she's like, I got to talk to Chris. I got to talk to Chris. I got to talk to Chris. And I'm just like, what is going on?
Jeez.
So she hangs up the phone, and she's like, do you want to meet with somebody to adopt a baby? And I just broke down crying. I was like, absolutely. Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
So we set up some meetings and went to some dinners just to talk with this young lady, and we started meeting. And after the first time, she says, I don't know. She goes, I just have this feeling about you guys, and I think that you are meant to adopt my baby.
Wow.
I'm like, right on. You know,
my gosh.
I'm like,
The
thank
answer
you.
to prayers.
Yeah.
Divine intervention.
Divine intervention. I mean, it definitely happened for a reason. Like the way this played out, like at first I was kind of naive about it. I was like, oh, this is crazy, you know? And then I started thinking, how this doesn't happen to people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we keep meeting with her. We start planning out what's going to happen. The thing is Utah state law states the baby hasn't been born. The baby was due December 20, or the baby was scheduled for a C-section on December 29th. And so we were meeting with her, trying to get everything prepped, went and talked to a lawyer, was getting all that in order. And then she's like, hey, I'm having issues with this pregnancy. Can we move the C-section up? And I was, okay. Which December 29th is also my son's birthday, which is wild. And she said, what day would work best for you guys? And she's like, I think December 22nd. And we're like, okay, yeah. And we're being cautiously optimistic, right? Because in the state of Utah, after a baby is born, the birth mother has 24 hours to sign paperwork over relinquishing her rights to the child. So we were talking to her, and this is why I kept this pretty close to the chest. So we meet with her, we're meeting with her, getting plans, having my lawyer go through everything. And it's supposed to be a longer process, and we're trying to rush this. You have to do a home study, which is normally 8 weeks. We had to complete it in 2 weeks because they want it done a week for background checks and everything to come back. So hiccups.
Yeah, this is where it gets banana crazy.
A big old hiccup.
Yeah.
We have to get background checks. So we get a background check. Lisa's comes back normal. And then...
Surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty
It's good they didn't find the... well, never mind.
Never mind.
All the things.
How long statute of limitations?
So our lawyer ends up... They have to do one, and then with our home study, you have to talk with a social worker. And so they have to do one. The lawyer comes back and says, hey, Lisa's passed, no problem. But yours is flagged. I'm like, I'm flagged for what? They're like, it says you
Homicide.
Are registered. It says you're registered with
Murder was the case. They blamed him.
Human Services or whatever, Human Health Services.
Chris killed a guy.
Yeah. He talked.
He had a hand grenade.
I had to tell him twice. So this kind of affects me, and I'm starting to think of all the bad things I've done in my life. It's not very many. No, I'm just.
I was Chris's psychiatrist that week.
Oh, it was terrible.
Your therapist.
I'm starting thinking. Well, my biggest thing is I'm thinking that this is a miracle that's screwed up because of me, even though I have no idea what I did. And they won't tell me any information of why I'm on this list.
We can't tell you about you, sorry.
Yeah, I'm on a flagged list. So the lawyer gives me that, and then we hadn't received it from the social worker yet. And I was like, okay, should I tell the social worker we're flagged because they have to do a background check? They're like, let's just see how this plays out. So I'm like not telling the social worker.
Let's just see what they hear.
So yeah, let's see if they pass.
Maybe they won't notice.
So then the social worker calls up and she's like, oh, she goes, this is very odd. She goes, usually we get both of them back together. We got Lisa's and it's cleared, but we haven't gotten yours back yet. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Weird.
I know why. So I go down to division of, what is it? The Human Health Services or whatever it is. It's a division of the government. I go down there. I was like, hey, I need to know. We're trying to adopt a baby and it's rushed. I need to know why I am on a list. They're like, well, we can't tell you that. I said, well, I'm here. Can you tell me? And they said, no, but go ahead and fill out this grammar report. And it takes 14 days. 14 days minimum to get this back. And this was the beginning of December. I think the grammar report that we were supposed to get was due minimum of 14 days, was due 2 days before my daughter was supposed to be born. And so it's just scary.
Plus the holidays.
Yes, exactly.
And it's government.
So that's what they say, a minimum. So I am calling them and I'm getting after them. Like, has this been approached yet? Has this, what's going on with this? And I kept bugging the crap out of them. And my lawyer's sending these appeals, saying, hey, we need to get this expedited. But they wouldn't expedite it because it wasn't beneficial to society. It was only beneficial to an individual. I was like, well, I think a kid growing up in a good household is good for society.
Yeah.
Like, I tried every angle to play with them, and they're like,
How do you know I'm not a serial killer? And I'll stop as soon as you give me this. There.
so this is holding everything up, and I'm just like wallowing in self-pity over this. For some, I shouldn't have, because I know there's nothing.
Well, it gets in your head, man.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and the thing is you find
you
out,
almost gaslight yourself.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also think, like, in society today, like, somebody can just say you did something and it's your job to prove them otherwise, instead of innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
You're guilty until you prove you're innocent in certain aspects of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm in my head about this. I'm calling them up. I finally get a hold of somebody who's in charge. And this is, so Layton was born the 22nd of December. So this was, I finally get a hold of her. That's a Friday, right? Was the 22nd of Friday? I don't know. Anyway, life's a blur.
A blur.
That sounds right, because Christmas was on a Monday.
Yeah. 22nd was a Friday. So I finally get a hold of somebody on the 20th. So it was that Wednesday. And like, oh, yeah, we haven't even started it. I said, well, can you start it? And they say, yeah, I'll get on it. I was like, here's the deal. And I went over it. I was like, I have no idea what I've done. I said, we have this rushed adoption that we didn't know about till towards the middle end of November. And I said, I need to figure this out so I can make an appeal to it. I even tried, so you can get your record expunged just like you can criminally. So I was trying to set up an appointment to get it expunged. Like, well, how are you going to get it expunged if you don't know what you did? I was like, because I'm that confident I didn't do anything. I said, so if you can get me into court for an expungement before you can actually tell me what I did, let's do that. But they couldn't do that till the end of January.
Oh my gosh.
So we're waiting. I get a hold of somebody. They're like, okay, we'll get right on this. Come to find out, my social security number was tied to some egregious case of child abuse that
Oh, my head.
I have no idea what was said in there, but we can't give you any information about it. I was like, why? They're like, because you're not the suspect. I was like, well, you sure treated me like a suspect for this past
Then how are you
all
connected?
December.
His
Because my
social.
they accidentally marked my social security. I was like, well, how does this happen? They're like, well, if you've had food stamps or if you had any of this, it's all in the same system. I was like, I have had none of those. None of it. Like, what's going on here?
Somebody pushed the wrong button.
I didn't get, I'm sorry. So come to find out, I had on my record that I wasn't supposed to be left alone with minors or vulnerable or compromised or vulnerable adults for at 2 years or so. So if I
Dude,
would
we
have
hung
been
out
pulled,
alone all the time.
I was
yeah.
about to say,
You
how
should
have
have
you
told
been
me
at this
this.
table?
so yeah, no idea. So if I would have been pulled over,
All you listening, we're being so intimate in your ears, and here we are. We have a convicted felon in our hands.
I don't even know what I did,
Sitting here with vulnerable
and I
adults.
almost got away with it too.
Born for
All
the
those
dang
nights we
government
took
officials.
shots. All those nights we took shots, huh?
All those nights I bore my soul to you and was vulnerable.
So come to find out, I wasn't supposed to be left alone with Alden for the last 2 years. If I would have been pulled over, Alden would have been taken from me. I would have been put in jail.
Oh, my God.
Alden would have been taken to a safe house till
From 2 years ago?
At least they
Fro-
said
yeah.
at
Minimum.
least 2 years.
Oh, my God.
They couldn't give me very many. So I mean, silver lining, I found out that I was a criminal and was able to get that taken care of. But so I tell them, I was like, okay, I need a letter. Anyway, the worst thing I had to do to try to get this adoption is I had to sign a piece of paper, not knowing what I've done. This is before we found out that my number was tied to this case. I had to sign a piece of paper saying that I would not be left alone with the new baby or with my son. And that killed me. Just because of something I had no idea.
Some jackhole pushed the wrong button.
Well, that tore me apart. Like, and I don't know why. No, I think it would affect anybody.
Well, it's because you're innocent and
See,
you're being treated like a criminal.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I put myself in your shoes, and if anything, I'd just be mad. Like, because it's like, I know I'm innocent.
Right.
And yet I'm having to follow these stupid rules until this is all cleared. And so I was just trying
It's like,
to
how do
be
you-
the angel on your shoulder. Like, dude, honestly, all things considered, you still get a baby out of this. Like, this is like nothing.
Could you imagine being someone on trial for murder, and it's like the judge and jury finds you guilty, and you know to your core you're innocent, but there's nothing you can do about it?
Yeah,
It's
dude,
all
it
on
was-
a technicality.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was for a temporary placement. So to get temporary placement, I had to sign this, and Lisa had to sign it saying that she wouldn't leave me alone with Alden or baby. And I was just like, as I'm signing that, I'm just like, son of a, I was like, okay, I'll sign it, like whatever I got to do, because I'm not going to be the one who screws this up for us. This gift, it's a it was a miracle.
Well, and like you had said, it was only going to last until it was expunged. And that at most was going to be a month.
Right.
So it was like, if that's the case, dude, like that's phenomenal.
I had to put my pride to the side to sign that paper for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I signed the paperwork, and that was earlier that week. And then I kept calling them, and they're like, it seems like you've been tied to another case. I was like, okay. I said, I knew something was up. I said, I need a letter stating that I am not tied to this case. And I couldn't even get a case number until I dug deep enough. And then I finally got a case number for what this case was supposed to be. And so I was like, okay, it's case this. Let's see what this is. Can help me out here. And they're like, well, we can't give you a letter. They just didn't want to provide fault, right? Yeah. I was like, I need a letter saying I'm not tied to this case. Well, we'll give you a letter denying access to this case. That should be good enough. I was like, no, that's not good enough. I need you to say, listen, I effed up.
Right.
Somebody fat thumbed your social security number to this case. You are no way involved in this. I said, I need a letter stating that. And they didn't give me that letter, but they said it could take months to untie me to that case. They had it done in a day. One day, because I was asking for a letter.
Really?
So
it goes from months to a day. That sounds like when you're bargaining at a
Flea market. Sounds like our government.
So that was a relief. So I got released from that case Thursday. Lainey's supposed to be born Friday. So that was a big sense of relief.
Hail Mary!
We had paperwork stacked on paperwork for this home study of everything we had to do. It was very invasive, but I was just like, whatever. They're like, well, can we see in your gun safe? I said, no. Whatever's in there's protected. Like, I just was like, it was so invasive.
That's where you're like, yeah, let's see if you can.
Yeah.
You can't get in there? Neither can a baby.
Or anybody else.
Right?
Yeah. So Lisa's like, don't be difficult. I was like, I'm not. But I'm sticking to what I feel is right. But anyway, we got the paperwork done. I had to go. We had to go over everything that's like, I had to tell them every bad experience I had as a childhood that I could remember, like how I was punished, how I was
Good
this.
heavens.
Like,
Dude, it's wild to me that you have to go through so much crap and pay so much money to adopt a child, but someone can just make a child in a terrible home and nobody cares.
Right?
well, people care. It's just I think.
Well, I mean, like they government's not, they don't do anything about it. Like
Right.
you can literally just make a child, and
they can't.
they're not going into your house looking under everything. Like
right.
it's
Would you
wild.
would you have to go through all this had you gone through an actual adoption agency?
Yes, you
too?
still have to do the.
This is all
home
standard
study.
protocol stuff.
Yeah,
Jeez.
for the state of Utah. Which I mean, it makes sense because there's people who adopt who probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or foster that shouldn't, which is the same process for adoption, fostering. Same, make sure the home's safe, make sure it's not overcluttered.
Sorry,
Make sure the one time you go in their house, they pretend to be good people.
On just a little
Right.
side note with that, Jenny was looking into fostering like drug babies, and you just keep the child until they're clean of any drugs that the mother had in her system when pregnant with the child. But she was looking into it because she's always been interested in it, but two, she's just kind of looking for kind of a unique job, something to help us out. And it was like $17 a day or something like that to have these children. And like after finding out why, it kind of makes sense, because it's like you're supposed to basically be doing this out of the kindness of your heart, and the $17 a day is just to help you feed the baby in a sense, like sustain
Take
the
care
baby.
of, get things for the baby.
Right. It's like a child support.
Yeah.
It's not to actually be a job. It's just more of a support the child. And that just kind of blew my mind, because again, like with just the weird costs and things, people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to adopt and different things. It's like, I don't know.
What does that money go to?
Agencies.
Like, yeah, like who's being paid for what? Why?
You're buying a kid. Like,
Exactly. It's
I
freaking
know.
weird.
It's anyways, but it's
Like
bizarre.
it should be so easy. Like, I mean, granted, you could still do all the safety check and stuff, but it should be like so cheap to adopt a child.
They should almost pay you.
Exactly.
It's like
Like they
Especially-
should pay for the medical bills, all this stuff. They're like, we just want this child to get a good home. That's what helps society, not forcing people to who are there and ready and want to truly take care of someone out of the love of their heart
Right.
to spend a crap ton of money.
I don't think you should pay somebody, because then you'll get bad actors. But at least, like, here's the child.
At least
like,
make it
it's
low
not,
co-
not that much money should come out of their pocket.
It should
for
cost
the
as
child.
much as it costs to have a baby.
Okay.
Yes.
I could agree with
There
that.
we go. Because
Yeah.
just the medical bills.
Yeah.
So
I can
that's
see
the thing with Lainey. Her medical bills were covered. Everything's covered. She didn't want anything. And so, I mean, it's going to cost us. Let's see. We're into it. We'll be into about $5,000, which is
that's so cheap, dude.
yeah.
That's
It's a
so
tenth of
cheap.
adopting, right? So I mean,
How did that work?
lawyer fees. Just
Wait,
'Cause it
so
was-
who pays the 50,000?
He's not.
No.
That's standard.
if
But
you
so
go
had he
through
gone through an adoption
this is
agency?
a private adoption. Yeah, this is a private adoption. This
Oh,
is
I
an
didn't know
agreement between
that.
us and birth mother.
See, that makes way more sense.
This is why it's such a crazy thing, because how often do you find somebody who's like, hey,
Okay, now this all makes sense. For some
Yeah.
reason, I thought no matter what, you were paying 50.
no, that's if
Oh.
you go through an agency. Right.
The benefit with the agency is you are guaranteed a baby. Soon, like they're gonna find you a child if you're willing to go through it. This case, Chris wasn't guaranteed this baby. Had mom changed her mind,
Yeah.
they're out the money.
Well, even at agencies, if you find a mother and then she changes her mind, then it's on to finding another one. And then
Well-
it costs you more money still. That's
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was kind of like, here, pay us this fee. We'll do the background checks, blah, 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 blah. And then in the end, we're going to find you a baby. So if mom A backs out, mom B, we're going to line you up with type thing. But I
See,
don't know.
And that's also kind of what blows my mind is kind of along the same lines as getting married is you almost like you don't want to spend so much money on your wedding that you're starting off your relationship in debt.
right.
Because that's an unnecessary stressor on
Right.
your new marriage and relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a similar regard, you shouldn't have to pay a $50,000 fee to adopt a child because you're
It's
going
going to
in
cost you a
like
few $100,000.
very few people could afford $50,000 payment upfront cash for a kid
Right.
and not take on, unnecessary debt. And so it's like you're going through all these guards to make sure the baby's going into a safe home. And it's like, okay, well, what about the financial situation? You're literally making us pay 50 grand.
And we all know how expensive kids are in general.
Come on, how bad do you want them?
Well,
How
they
bad do you want
They
them,
need
guys?
freaking diapers again? We just bought some.
The worst thing is when you change a diaper.
Stop pooping.
Then they stare at you when you're about ready to go up, and they're just like, you're like, oh,
Dude, Layla
New
laughs at us when we change her diaper.
oh,
She's just like,
25 cents.
Laney.
25 cents.
You know how like they say with like cats, after you're done scooping the litter box, they're like, fresh litter. Now I can take a crap in it. I swear babies are the same way.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been holding this all day. Thanks for changing my pee diapers. And now I'm gonna poop.
I got the
in it.
number 2 diapers.
The worst that I found is formula, man. Formula is expensive, and they burned through it like gasoline.
Yeah.
Just gone.
I have a donor for breast milk, which
That's
is
awesome.
awesome.
That is so cool.
Which
That's
I
really
was
cool.
a little skeptical at first. It's like, who is this lady? It's doing
Who's
anything.
just out there? She's just. You remember Mad Max, the most
Yes.
recent one?
The
Mother's milk.
milk.
She's just like tubed up all day. Just
Well, it's a couple of them. Remember, it was all
it's a
those
whole
big,
group of-
huge women, and they all got the like suctions going. Ugh.
Did you try it straight from the tap? Is it good?
That's called cheating.
He's like, it's like a wine testing, but he's over there.
spits it back out.
That one, I don't know. Let's try number 2.
Strip it.
This tastes like this one got into an onion patch.
A little too much garlic.
Picking hairs out of this
Natural
one.
antibiotics.
that one,
Oh, that's too
one
far.
repels vampires.
Just
Yeah. So anyway, where was I?
took up a squirt gun
So,
to it.
so you're up to almost birth. So you just got this whole thing wrapped up. The
Okay.
1 month
Thursday.
down to a day.
So the day before we meet up with the birth mother and we sit down, we're like, okay, how's this all going to go in the hospital? And so we could get it figured out. And she's like, okay, I want Lisa and you in there when I have the C-section to see the baby come out. And we're like, we feel honored. Thank you. That's awesome. And then she's like, I just want an hour. I want an hour with her, and then she's yours, and then I'll sign papers. She had to wait 24 hours to sign papers because she was getting a C-section, so she was under the influence of medications and stuff.
Makes sense.
So we're like, okay, so we're all set. Day comes, and the whole time, like, you're excited, but you are so nervous because
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
what if she? I mean,
This could change.
if
any
she
moment.
changes her mind, can you blame her? No.
Just watching from the stands, I was a nervous wreck. So I can imagine how you feel.
So, and I'm just trying to stay calm. Lisa's panicky, but so Friday comes along, and we go there. It's Friday evening. We go to the hospital, meet them, and it was supposed to. She just wanted her, and then us, and then she had Lisa's mom there for support person. Is what she was doing. Well, we get there, her whole family's there, so her sister, her mom, her dad, and we get there, and the nurse comes in and she's like, okay, she's like, we're about ready to start. She goes, who's going in the delivery room with you for the operation? And her mom's like, I am. And Lisa's like, wait, no, you're not. Like, full on. I was proud of her. She's like, no, I thought that we talked about this and you wanted me there. And we found out that her mom is a little abrasive with, like, pushing her daughter around, and she doesn't like telling her no. So Lisa's like, no, you said I was going to be there. So what's going on? And like, she's like, yeah, I want Lisa there. So
Good.
So that got
Nice.
changed. Lisa got there and said, but we're only allowing one person. So they have this room next to it, which is the weighing room or whatever, where they take the baby after the baby's born, weigh her, clear out everything. Beg pardon. And so she's like, I want Chris there. But for privacy reasons, I had to step on the other side of the wall to where I couldn't see what was going on in the room. So they take her in, and we're just a nervous wreck. And all of a sudden I hear crying. And they're like, okay, hurry, come over. Mom's covered, so the privacy's fine. So I hurry and come over there, and I see her hold her up. And I'm not going to lie. I was like, okay, is this going to be the same as having Lisa carry the child? Is it going to be different? How's the feelings going to be? As soon as I saw that little girl, I was like, that's my little girl.
That's so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah,
Oh.
her cry, that's my little girl crying. They grab her, they lift her up, show mom, show Lisa. Lisa's bawling. I'm like, like through the glass wall, and they bring the baby in, and then Lisa escorts the nurse who's carrying Lainey and Lisa, and they go into the room, and she's just crying, like, do you want to hold her? I was like, yeah. So I hold her. They're weighing her. Alden's waiting in the room. Lisa so my sister did a awesome video for us about when we received her and everything. So we go back to the room. Alden gets to see her for the first time, and he's just ecstatic, and we're ecstatic. Well, 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes, something like that. I was like, and the nurse comes in, and she's like, okay, birth mother wants to see the baby. And we're like, okay, we understand. Takes her in there. She goes in there, and we're like, okay, she wanted an hour. Well, it didn't happen. So it was long. She pretty much kept her in the entire room, in that room, and then they moved us to the whatever the. So there's the delivery section, and then there's the postpartum. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
'Cause it's technically on the operating floor, so it's like you have your operating room and then your recovery room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the postpartum section, and then they take the baby down. We get a walk with Lainey to that room, and then they take her in that room, and then they're like, okay, your guys' room was over there, and it's in the corner down the hall. They have all these stairs
Spider
checked
webs.
up.
Lights
Yeah.
are broken.
So we get this corner room, and they take Lainey in the other room, and we're just sitting there like, okay.
Oh my
Just
And
sitting
so-
there to stew with your thoughts.
So the nerves are hiked up again, and then this did happen. So they said, okay, baby's going to get her first bath. She wants Lisa there. And so Lisa goes in there, and I hang out with Alden. And so she gets to see her, and then Lisa comes back, and then they go to the nursery, and they're like, hey, does somebody want to go to the nursery after the bath so we can check, we got to check weight, we got to check all this. And I was like, I'd love to. And then I said, okay. So I got to actually go there. I just got to watch her go into the nursery, sat there while they did everything, and then brought her back to birth mother's room. And then we left, and we were sitting in our room. No nurse checked on us, nothing. Like, we're just sitting in this room like, okay, what's going on here?
About how long were you in there?
It was so we were there until, so we went and got food, we went and did this, and we saw like her family down eating, and like they wouldn't talk to, like we talked to them at first, and we were like just introducing ourselves, and then it was kind of awkward. So they were sitting there like, hey, how's it going? And like, hey, like, and then she just kept having more and more family come. I was like, oh man. And I'm getting nervous.
Yeah, that much family support. You're
Right?
like, are they going to talk her
It's like,
out
do
of
they,
it?
it's
or-
like, do
Yeah.
they know what she's doing?
And at the same time, I can't blame if she does. I don't know. I was like, I hope they're supporting her decision. But I mean, because when we talked to her, like, is this really what you want? Like, she's like, this is going to be the best thing for her. So we say, okay. And this is all the day before when we're getting everything figured out. Well, she goes back into that room, and we're just sitting there, and it's getting close. So the social worker, we actually had a social worker go work with the birth mother too. It's state law, so she gets counseling sessions, right? And that lady's the one who's gonna take the papers in to sign papers, and relinquish rights. So we're sitting in the room, and it's getting close to the time to where she's supposed to come, and Lisa's just like shaking, and I'm like, I'm a nervous wreck, but I'm trying to be like, oh, it's gonna be okay. And then I make the stupid comment of saying, okay, so here's the thing, how are you gonna feel if this doesn't end up, like, I'm trying to just prepare for everything. I'm like, what's gonna happen if she doesn't sign the paperwork? She's like, we're getting our shit and getting out of here. I was like, oh geez, okay. I was like, she's like,
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right.
Why
I can't
linger?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like, she goes, I won't be able to handle it. I'm gonna be a wreck. I just want to be a wreck at home, and then we can talk with her later about what happened or whatever. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And she's like, so sorry, Lisa, but I get it.
You can't blame her.
No, for real. So we end up getting a knock on the door. It's at the 24-hour mark. Or no, 25-hour mark. We get a knock on the door, and it's the social worker. She's like, okay, we're about to go in to have her sign paperwork. We're like, okay.
So you've been waiting
had
in
to
this
wait
room
for-
for an entire day?
Yes. We spent the night there alone.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
24 hours of not knowing what's going on.
Well, we're like, okay, so we're just going over all the plans. She's like, she wants an hour. That's fine. And then, but at the same time, it's like, that's my baby, but that's not my baby. Like, that's not my child, but it is my child.
It's Schrodinger's
it's so,
baby.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like you're in limbo, right? So we're like, we don't want to leave the hospital and go home, because if she ends up saying, hey, come see the baby or whatnot, we want to be there. So she knocks on the door. She's like, I'm going to go in and have her sign papers. She leaves for about a half hour, and she comes back in. Lisa's, we're just sitting there. I'm just holding Lisa. We're nervous. She knocks on the door. She's like, she started signing papers. I'm like, oh no. And she's like, she was doing really good at first. We're like, oh shoot.
Oh,
She's like, she was doing really good at first. She goes, she struggled at the very end. And then she's like, but she signed them. And then, just the sense
Oh
of
my
relief.
gosh.
With sense of relief, we're like, oh. And then Lisa, first thing my wife says is she goes, can I go give her a hug? She's like, oh, you want to go give her a hug? And she's like, let me go talk to her. And so she goes back in, and we're sitting in the room because we're like, okay, do we go like say, okay, my baby now? You know, what,
Thank you, bye.
Like, what? But it's we're like, can we give her a hug? And she's like, goes in, comes back after 5 minutes. She's like, I think she could use the hug now. And so we go in there and we just give her a hug, tell her thank you. You know, this baby's gonna be loved. This baby's being cared for. And we sat and hung out with the birth mother. And that she was alone at this point. No, her sister was there, but she was just in the back corner. And we just sat and talked with her for an hour, 2 hours, and just talked about everything. And excuse me. And Lisa's like, I know, Lisa's like, so do we get her tonight? I was like, well, she signed papers, so technically she's so we were in there. She's like, so do we get Lainey tonight? And she's like, well, she's yours now. And she's like, okay, yeah. So we took her because she had to stay one more night. So we took her to our room, and we just sat and loved her. And Alden he's so in love with his sister. Like he's so excited, and we're all excited. It is open adoption, but it's by our standards, so it's just updates. She doesn't want any updates for the first 6 months because she wants to deal with it, and she thinks it'll be more rough on her.
Yeah.
But we told her, we're like, we'll give you updates. Whenever you're ready, just stay in contact, and we'll give you updates. And then it's supervised visits at our discretion once a year, right? So we brought her home, and I'm a proud papa.
Yeah, you are, buddy.
And so we brought her home Christmas Eve. So she had her first Christmas at our home.
That's so awesome.
Dude, it was so cool.
So any like major differences in having a girl as opposed to
Well, I mean,
a
the
boy?
diaper changes are different.
They're easier.
They're not
Actually,
easier.
I have no idea.
They're not easier.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I was like, I have no idea.
There's so many more hiding spots on girl diapers.
You know, you're right.
It's a lot. It feels a lot more invasive.
You have only one direction.
Does
Oh,
it?
that's the part I hated.
It's so much more invasive.
Because there's like parts where it's like, well, I can't leave feces
Heck no.
in those areas,
Right.
but I'm like, I'm
I just
hate
get it. I
You'll
just
hate
get
it
it
now.
done.
You'll thank me later.
I just get it done.
oh man.
But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like a boy is harder, if I'm being honest.
really?
Yeah, to clean.
The only
Maybe
thing you
that's
have to
'cause
worry
started
about.
out- maybe that's because you got used to a girl first.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what
You
it
don't
is.
have the wrinkles to deal with.
The boy
gonna
is
say-
just like flick that thing out of the way, get under there, flick the other thing, go.
Yeah, but
go.
see, that thing can aim
No.
at you too. And just,
with a girl,
I got
it's
peed
like-
on more by my girls than my boys.
Really?
Yep.
none of mine have actually.
With a girl, it's like you got to make sure that you can get every little thing, and it's like finding your taxes from 7 years ago. It's just there's a lot. It is in the filing
It's all
cabinet.
shit.
You got to get the IRS involved.
It's just there's so many more. It's so many more. I feel, but honestly, I haven't had a newborn for 8 years, and I didn't realize the things I had forgotten that I remembered
I was
very
just gonna
quickly.
ask that.
Yeah.
How much stuff
Dude.
did you realize you had forgotten?
Well, you forget that you need to hold those feet the whole time when you're changing a diaper, because I didn't, and
Oh.
Yeah.
Straight into the poop.
straight into the poop and slid across everything.
Yep.
On a
Now
girl,
it's everywhere.
on a girl, you would think you don't have to hold the diaper over, but they can shoot out piss too.
I said it. I got peed on more by my girls, man. Because at least with the boy, you can kind of tell when the thing is arming itself. You're like, all right.
Redirect
Thing's half cocked, buddy.
it. Easy now.
We tease
that
with the boys.
safety
It's like,
on.
oh, he's getting a big wiener.
I never said that once.
PPTP.
Have you seen those things?
Yeah.
We have some. I used it once. That's it. I'm like, I'm
never used
I'm
it.
not
All you
using
do is
these
hold the
things.
diaper over,
It's
Yeah.
so dumb.
get it washed, clean it.
Save your money. Don't buy any PPTPs.
Just put a towel
Um,
under.
The fussing part, usually it's because they're either tired or hungry, right? But then you start realizing, okay, stomach ache, they're a little fussy because of croup or whatever it
a
could
little
be.
bit of gas.
Yeah. Do the run game.
Yep, pumping
All
the
the-
legs.
They
Yeah.
got gripe. What's gripe?
All
I
that-
don't know. It just bugs them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gripe water. Learned all that. So it's all that stuff, and it's not like you forget it. It's just that it's on the. It's
Just
in
a
the, It's in
reminder,
the back
like-
file.
You
right?
repress it.
Yeah. And then it comes back. I think God does that for a reason. So you have another one.
100%.
Yeah. He's like.
Well,
He's like, I'm not going to get more of you down there. If
and
you...
he does it faster for women.
Yes.
Be like, women are 3 months in. I'm ready for another one. What?
Just you're a woman.
Still dealing with that one.
That's just a
Frick,
Jenny
man.
thing.
Jenny was on her freaking deathbed with our last one, and she's still like, I could have another baby.
We could make
Are you
this
kidding
work.
me? Yeah, no.
No thanks.
They'll just put me into medically induced coma the whole 9 months. We'll be fine. But yeah, there's things, and it's getting used to it again. I told Lisa because I take till 2 a.m, so I usually get. Lainey is awake from like 9 till 1:55.
Oh.
Which is, it's all right. It's more time Dad has with her, And so we just sit and she's smiling already, which everybody's like, it's just gas bullshit. No, it's not. Like, she smiles. Like, she does
That's cute.
smile.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
combination.
Like, she'll be crying. I'm like, honey, what's the matter? And then
A little smile.
she at first, she did not like my voice. Like, whenever I'd hold her and I'd start talking, she'd start crying. I was like, I'm not used to this. Like, because
That's how I felt at first
Oh, really?
with you.
Yeah, for real. Well played, sir.
Nice.
It's Chris's first impression. It just,
Dude, for real. I don't know. Austin and I kicked it off pretty cool.
Heck yeah, we did.
Yeah.
well, that's because Austin comes from the same breed.
Oh,
Just kidding.
it's us against them.
The lines have been drawn.
So yeah, there's
My side has guns. I'm just kidding.
So does ours.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We're not liberals.
my side knows how to use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Spray
which
and pray.
end. I know which end goes pew pew.
Exactly. That's all you need.
I just see you at the right. Pew pew pew.
Point the pew pew end at them.
Well, the other end goes in your shoulder, Tony. He's all.
Reggie calls it that.
That's not how Rambo
He
holds
knows.
it.
He'll point at my safe and he'll go pew pews. I'm like, yep, pew pews.
Awesome.
Yes.
Raise him right. No. But yeah, it's so she didn't like my voice at first, and I was like, I'm not used to this because Alden was. But I thought about it. I always talked to Alden. Like
In
I'd
the
always
womb.
I'd always lay on Lisa's stomach and
That's
just talk to
true.
him.
They hear you from the
Yeah.
beginning.
There's no father really involved with
I-
Lainey's whole thing, so I don't think she really heard male
Oh
voices.
my heck.
So I'm wondering if that's what it was. Now
Yeah?
she's good with it. I noticed that. Oh, I hate saying this, but I'm going to. Like I'll be holding her and she just keeps crying. I'm like, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, "Okay, no, she's a newborn. You got to understand. She's a newborn again, so you got to
Doing
like,
the baby talk.
you got to calm yourself down again." You're like, "No, she's just crying because she doesn't know how to express." So I mean, it's not like I'm like, "Shut up" or anything. I'm just like, come on, what is going on? I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? So I have to like have those talks with myself
hard.
again. It's like, talk to me.
Yeah, especially when you're tired. Sometimes it gets
I'm
tough.
just being honest. Like
Yeah.
that's a true
Anyone
thing.
who says they don't have those feelings is a liar.
But would I change it for the world? Absolutely not.
Right.
I am so happy. And then I end up catching that freaking sickness for 3 weeks. So I'm like, couldn't
Wanting-
hold her for like a week. And then I started holding her, but with mask and then like keeping her away because I had to help out. Lisa was dying of like just because she was doing everything. Because I was like, I don't want to get near her. She's newborn. But that was weird. And then I got over that. Lainey, fortunately, hasn't been like she's gotten a little congested, but then it went away. So she's been doing awesome. It's just been awesome.
You know, I was
It's such
thinking,
a cool thing.
you saying the whole like, not being around for the pregnancy. I thought that with you guys, as far as like, in a typical situation, you have the 9 months to kind of prepare. You go through the nesting phase and
Yeah.
all of that to get ready. And it's like here, you guys go from kind of just accepting that you're done and that Alden's going to be your only to a month and a half later having another one.
yeah,
And it's just like,
straight into it.
just bam.
But I was in denial about that too, to be honest. I was like, okay, I was trying to come to terms that I wasn't,
Right.
but I was still like, no, I'm going to.
Well, it's kind of similar. Well, very loosely similar, and you can relate to this to like a miscarriage. it's like after you have your first miscarriage, every pregnancy after that, you take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because you just never know.
I gotta say though, like we were super ecstatic when we found this out and we were crying, but it was kind of tainted. It was a tainted excitement because it could all be ripped out from your hands.
Yeah, you were trying to prevent yourself from getting
Right.
Try not to get your
Yeah.
hopes up.
I was
because it's
super
not set in
excited.
stone.
But we weren't like, so whenever we'd meet with birth mother, we were so excited, but we were trying to be respectful to her too, and be like, okay, how do you want this? And be like, oh, we're so excited to take your baby. You know what I mean? how do you handle that situation?
Yeah.
It's cool to hear that the part that you said, as soon as you heard her cry, you knew right away.
Yeah.
Just because I've always thought, like, if we were to ever adopt, but having like our own biological children and then also adopting, it's like, would I, like, not to sound like a dick, but it's like, would I almost treat the adopted baby a little different because they're not my blood? You know, and I'm not saying I would or that anyone else out there does it, but it's just
concern.
like, it's cool to.
I had a lot of self-talks about, like, I had a lot of conversations in my head. It's like, okay, is this going to feel the same as when we had Alden? Is this, I will love this. Like, there's no doubt whether I'd love her, but it's like, is it going to be the same?
Yes.
Is it going to be, is it going to be like flow back into it? Is it going to be like, okay, this is, and it was like, I
think if you don't question that, then there's something wrong with you.
Exactly. It's
Because
like
that shows you have actual concern about your own actions and how you're going to treat the baby, and I think that's a very good thing to feel.
Well, I guess, Cam, you're kind of, I mean, half in that boat. Granted, Kaylee is Shaylee's, but she was your first, though. I wonder, did it help? Not help, but like going from being, I'm going to call you an adopted father, even though on paper, I don't know, that's still
One
a
day.
mess, but yeah. But it's like going from her first and then to biological children. Was there any kind of...
So I mean, it's weird. Like I'm in the same boat. Like there are genuinely times when I question myself. I'm like, am I like, did I just get after Kaylee? Like would I get after Scarlett the same way I just did Kaylee for X reason or whatever? You know, like I think that stuff sometimes. I'm like, am I treating them different? Because you are concerned about that. You're like, I don't want her to feel like I'm treating her different. Because then it's also, am I getting after her because she's not technically biological, or is it just because she's the oldest one and she's
Right.
older? You know, like
That's healthy though.
Exactly.
Like you were saying, that is. I think it's healthy. At first, I felt ashamed about it. I was like, of course, it's like, but that's just like some pish posh generic answer, right? It's gonna be that's bullshit. It's like, yes, these are questions these are conversations you've got to have with yourself about this. You know, I want what's best for this child, and that's like, so with the open adoption, I didn't want an open adoption. Like I told her straight up. I was like, do you want open or closed adoption? She's like, I want to open. I was like, oh, I really wanted a closed adoption, but let me look into this and see what the benefits to this are.
Bio mom said that first?
Yes, I was like, we really would like to have another child. I said, so let me look into this and make sure this is something that I'm not going to tell you yes and then not do it. So I did so much research, and actually it helps with, as long as it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's a healthy interaction, it helps with identity issues, like if they have a sense of identity, like loss of identity.
or is that sense of abandonment?
All of that. So to actually have her there saying, listen, to say, and Lisa's all on board with this because it affects her more too, right? Because now it's like Lisa's her mother, but then there's another, I'm just dad, right?
Yeah, you don't necessarily have, not to, for lack of a better word, competition. Like you don't have, there's not a man in her life that is, an active.
Going to fill that role.
Exactly.
Right.
Better or worse than you.
Yeah.
Right.
You are.
Right.
that.
But Lisa, and I was talking to Lisa about it, and she never had any like sense of that, but she's like, Lisa went through this, right? Her father that she grew up with wasn't her biological dad, and she had no idea till she was a teenager. And then she realized back then how everything was, she was treated, he was just a dick, but she was treated so much different, and she had identity issues. But they blatantly told her that he wanted nothing to do with her.
I was gonna say her
Yeah, they
situation's
lied.
rough, but
And she's an awesome.
Well, and that's
She handled that. She's a trooper.
the one thing, as far as the open thing, I didn't realize that it's just a mutual agreement between the two parents. I thought it was like kind of a written, like I know the agreement's still between the parents, but I thought it was like a written contract. Okay, this is done. This is a done deal. This is what we've agreed on.
It's
blah
an
blah
honor
blah.
code.
Yeah, and
It's an
that's
honor
I
code.
guess that's what I mean as far as that's I didn't know that. I didn't know
Right.
it was like this can change at any time. If we feel this is going south, we can cut it off whenever we're ready.
And I mean, I was straight up honest with her about all that. I didn't want to give her false promises in order to get to get Lainey.
Right.
And so I took it very seriously. And I was like, listen, I'm going to look into it. And then we had more meetings, and I was like, yeah, I think we're okay with that. I go, but you got to understand one thing right now. I said, I'm going to do what's best for my daughter, first off. Second off is you, because she started having her parents, so just call her biological. That's so long to say.
Bio.
The bio mother. Her parents were like, okay, we want to get updates in this, and she's like, would you be okay with giving updates to them until I was like, no. I said, let me think about it. So I thought about it, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I go, because first off is Lainey. I go, second off is you. I go, if we will give you updates when you're ready, and then you can share them. That's your right to share them with your parents if you want to. And she's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And so took it very seriously. I've gotten a bunch of books now that I'm reading on adoption, and because trying to figure out. She's like, well, are you going to tell her? I was like, yes. But I said that is up to us to decide when we feel she's ready and can comprehend what
Tell
the
her now.
situation is.
Tell her now.
tell her right now.
Yeah, like, I already told her. What'd she do?
You never told me this. Yeah, we did. 2 weeks after we got
So,
What? Who told you?
so as far as like she's a family friend who cares about you until we decide to tell her
Right.
that you are her biological mother and this and that. So we laid everything in the sand, but it was so scary that when the plans changed, because we like had everything set up. She said an hour, things change. And then our social worker, she's like, well, just so you know, the hospital's her time. So you can't, she can be as selfish as she wants. And I was like, I don't like hearing that. Like, but I get it. So when everything changed, and yeah, it was nerve wracking. I was sweating. But I was trying to keep my cool. I was like, everything's going to be okay. It's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. But inside, I'm like,
When you guys sent
yeah,
the
dude.
message that she signed,
terrifying.
I just started tearing up. And,
Yeah.
oh man, I was.
well, I was like, we got to tell. Well, Austin was freaking like my rock with all this other stuff. He was texting me every day just to see how I was doing. Well, did I reach out to you first, or no? You called me. You were just like, how's everything going, man? And then I was trying to keep it all to myself, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I just like, I unleashed on him. He's like, oh, damn.
That was a rhetorical question, bud.
But the whole time he's like, it's going to be all right. You're going to be cool. Everything's going to be all right. And I get in my head sometimes. Well, no, all the time.
Every single day of your
Right.
life.
You're in your head right now.
You're doing it right now.
But, yeah.
Get out.
So it was, we're just ecstatic. Our families, the love has grown. Alden wants to hold her all the time, and she'll be crying. I was like, buddy, she's crying right now. He's like, I don't care. He's like, it's okay. And just the way he handles it, it's just like a pure
Isn't it
love.
amazing?
It is.
Dude, I will never forget when we brought home Paige, and Micah was barely 2. No, she wasn't even 2 yet. And Micah just knew. She knew what to do. She wanted to hold Paige.
Yeah.
And she would hold her and just like lightly touch her. I have video of it. It's on one of our vlogs, and it is one of my favorite moments. And then same thing happened when we brought home Lucas. It was just, Paige was the exact same way. It's just natural to them.
With Alden. He's like, Dad, can I hold Lainey? I was like, of course you can. He's like, can I hold her in your bed? I was like, yes, you can. Go ahead. Go sit in the bed. It's safe, And he's just holding her. And he's like, can you leave for a minute? I was like, okay. So I walk out, and then I sneak back in, and he's singing to her. He's holding her, rocking,
Love it,
singing to her.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I don't know if he was embarrassed or he just wanted his alone time to sing to his little sister or what it was. And I was so proud because he was singing Far Over the Lonely Mountain or the Misty Mountains or whatever from The Hobbit. And he's all singing it like this. He's like, Far Over. That's one of the songs he knows. And she's just staring up at him. I walk in, he's all, I was like, dude, that's awesome. And I just like start crying and walked out. I was like,
Yeah, dude.
so dope,
And it's crazy that even at as young as Lainey is, they will start to develop a bond.
yeah.
And you'll notice that there are things that only Alden can do to make Lainey happy.
Yeah.
Because there are things right now that Paige and Micah can do that will make Lucas die laughing that Jess and I cannot do.
Oh yeah, Scarlett makes Layla laugh more than anyone else.
It's amazing.
It's the dopest thing. Funniest thing though is because she loves to hold her, but when she holds her, as soon as Layla starts crying, she's like, "Take her." She's like, "Dad, take baby, please."
Here, I'll done.
I'm over.
See, and I'll go change her diaper, and Alden's right there. 'Cause she freaks. She hates diaper changes. So she's still in that stage where anytime you
She's
take clothes
exposed,
off,
yeah.
she's just freaking out. And I got cold hands. Poor girl.
Do you guys have a
Oh,
little
yeah, dude.
heater? A
Or
little
stick-
like room heater?
We don't have a room heater.
Little
You also stick the baby wipes in your armpit.
I've got the wipe warmer. That thing is a game
There you go.
changer.
I
Wipe
mean,
war- we
if
never-
you're fancy, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, we got-
tried a
I got
wipe warmer.
armpits.
We feel so blessed with just just the support and just the whole. I'm still like even when it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, is this really happening right now? Like I still have that to this day. Like I know it's real, and I don't know. It's just even like I was always excited to come home and see my family, but it's not like you grow less excited. It's just you didn't realize you could be more excited as your family grows.
Right.
It's just it doubles. You know
It's
what
like
I mean?
your heart grows.
Yeah.
3 sizes that day.
Right? Not to sound corny, but it's totally true.
But we just feel.
I remember that after having multiple, like after you have your first kid, you're like, I can't love anything more than this. Like this is it. And so it's like, how do people have more than one? Because I've given everything I've got to this one, and then you can. And
You have another, and somehow you have more. And you're like, how do I have more to give?
I noticed that. Like, I even love. It's like when my love doubled because I love Lainey now too. It's like it doubled for both of them. Like it's not just like okay, I love her as much as him. It's like I love them both even more. Like it just keeps growing. It's so
So
cool.
wild.
It's so cool.
it's like the saying with like a married couple, how it's like, it's not 50-50, it's 100-100. Like you can't each work half-assed at it. It's like you're both doing 100%. It's the same thing with kids. It's like you're not going to love them. Like me having 4 kids, it's like I don't love them all 25%
Right.
to
Depends on
get
the
to
day.
100. Right? You're definitely 75 today. You're 20.
You're dropping.
But we explained to Alden, we're like, okay, just so you know, she's a newborn. It doesn't mean we don't like you any less, but they need a lot more attention. And he's perfectly fine. Like I said, he'll come in and want to spend time just with us and her, like changing diapers. He's like, here, I'll take care of the diaper, go throw the diaper away. Like he's being so
That's
helpful.
awesome.
Lisa was starving, but Lainey was crying and holding her. And I, what was I doing? I was doing something. I was setting up. We didn't have anything set up when we came home because I didn't want stuff set up to have to tear it down and send it back because we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we had a playpen that had the cradle in it and then a changing pad, and we didn't even set that up. It was just in the box ready to go for when we came home. So I'm doing that. Lainey's crying. Lisa's trying to soothe her and give her a bottle.
Man, I wish you would have hit me up. I would have gone to your house.
Dude, we
and-
would have built all your
Dude,
stuff.
we could have been Santa.
Freaking IKEA.
You could have
IKEA
been like,
elves.
dude, the baby's ours. We need the IKEA elves.
I'm
on
not
it.
gonna lie, I didn't even think of doing that.
That would have been
Bro,
cool.
That would
That'd be
been
so
dope.
fun. We're just sitting there like building stuff. Like, hey,
But
elf hats on.
Lisa's like, I'm starving. Well, Alden heard Lisa say she's starving. He went in the kitchen and made himself and her peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Oh my
While she's
gosh.
trying, like nobody said anything to him. he's like, here, I got this one. I put extra jelly. Like, just full on. I was like,
What
hey, where's
did
my
I
sandwich?
do wrong
I'm
with
like,
my-
Right? I'm like, we
Good.
get it, Chris. Your kid's an angel.
I didn't. No, I didn't get a sandwich. He didn't make me a sandwich.
You didn't carry that bait. No, just kidding.
So,
That's funny.
but no, like,
Dad, you're a grown man. Get
listen,
yourself.
I love my kid. I talk him up, but I've been very shocked because he is used to being an only child. So I thought there was going to be some things we were going to have to go
Oh, that's
over.
coming.
I'm sure it
coming.
will.
Yeah,
It's
it'll
coming.
get
It's
there.
on the horizon. It's just not there yet.
Things are new and
Right.
exciting. It hasn't. You haven't broken through the
I know.
hundreds.
All I can think. Me and my sister are 8 years apart. She's my only sibling, and I just remember like my toddler years. She was in her high school years, and so it's like we were the worst of enemies. I mean, I worshipped her. She hated me though, and it's like we
see
didn't
it.
actually connect until we were both adults.
That's the hardest
And
thing
so-
right now with Kaylee and Scarlett. They're 8 years apart too.
Yeah.
So you have Kaylee, who's junior high, puberty, all that crazy stuff is going on, and you have Scarlett, who just loves her and wants to hang out with her and play with her all the time. And so right now it's rough because like Kaylee gets annoyed almost immediately.
I don't
See,
know. I'm gonna
Brindley-
soak this up as long as I can.
Do it.
Do it, man.
I feel like Brinley's either one spectrum or the other. It's like I watch her sometimes with Kelsey and the two sisters, and it's like they have this thing where they'll tell each other like, "You're my girl, you're my best girl," and Kelsey says it back, and they give, and it's like, "Oh, that's so cute." And then there's another moment when Brinley's like walking through the room, pushes her head, and like to get her out of the way, like, and it's just
Move.
like, and there's that, like,
Move your
so
fat
it's
head.
I don't know, man. It's all over the
Hey,
spectrum.
Santa's out in the middle of the street. You better go see him.
And I'm sure it's gonna come, but for right now, it's been.
No,
You know,
it's-
and it may not come.
But at the same
he,
time,
he seems to be level-headed about it.
well, I mean, but I also make sure that like sometimes Lisa will be with Lainey, and me and Alden are just doing guy stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're hanging out as guy stuff, and then sometimes I'm with Lainey. Lisa will sit and cuddle with Alden and be like, "How are you doing?" Like just talking with him. So
Yeah, I was gonna say for us, I know that Micah, she'll start when she starts to get, she just gets grumpy, and you just don't know why, and that grumpiness is just because she wants attention, and it's being misdirected. It's not like she doesn't understand that she's, she just wants one-on-one time and attention, and so I'll just take her out on a date, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah.
And so, daddy daughter date. So same thing I'm sure with Alden. If he starts to show any sort of resentment, one-on-one time, like let's go do some fun
Right.
stuff, and then I'm sure it'll all be fine.
we're trying to be really good about that. Which it's a lot more. It's a lot more time, like out of things I need to get done. But it's
we continue to have those conversations with Brinley and Jude just because Kelsey and Reggie, even being 3 and 2, they still demand so much attention.
right.
And so
Yeah, Scarlett she'll like ask me to do things for her, like simple things, like she'll be like, "Dad, put on my shirt or pants." And it's like, you dress yourself all the time. But then I've started to realize a lot of times when she wants me to do it,
Right.
it's because she wants that little extra attention, to know that she's supported and that we're there to help her, So it can be frustrating because you're like, just put it on yourself. You know how to do it. I saw you do it yesterday. But it's like, oh, wait a second. No, like, cool, yeah, I'll help you. Come on over here.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Parenting, man, it's a wild ride.
So wild, little
It's fun,
weirdos.
though.
one of
Love
these
'em.
days we'll figure it out.
So I was gonna have you reveal the name, but obviously you've already revealed
did
the
it.
name.
What's the full name?
Lainey J is the first name. Alicia after Lisa's birth name, and then my last name, which I don't know if you guys know or not. Hummel.
Chummel? Oh,
Ah,
right.
yeah, that's right.
So
1 L or 2?
for Lainey, it's just one L.
Lady.
Lainey.
Is it so it's hyphenated?
Yep. Lainey J. Which it was just supposed to be Lainey
The
J.
letter or A-E-A-Y?
J A-E. Lainey
E-I-G-H?
Lainey. I was trying to not keep it too Utah.
Just spell it without using a J at all.
Yaney Yay.
D-J-A-Y?
It's Geigh.
The D
J.
is silent.
I didn't want it Utah fight at all. Well, it's just supposed to be so Lainey. Lisa's grandma's name was Elaine, who was like an idol to her, and so
Nice.
that's kind of an
Where Lainey
homage,
came from.
Lainey. And then Jay's after my mom and her mom, and then Alicia's for Lisa.
Nice.
So it's a long name. She's gonna hate it.
It's not that long.
She'll go by Lainey for short.
I'll just call her
I just call
LJ.
her-
Yeah, I was gonna call her LJ.
Yeah, that's cool.
What up, LJ?
LJ.
She's like, shut up, you're
That's
old.
we were.
Which is weird though, because Layla's name is Layla Jade,
Oh, really?
so she could also be LJ.
Oh,
The LJs.
Well,
Yeah,
see, we
They're
tease.
close to each other.
We tease with the whole name thing with Reginald. We're like, that is such an old name.
I love it. Though.
That's my
And-
regal name, Cameron Reginald Birch III.
Well, and it was funny because when he was still a baby,
I signed it.
you know how they start to lose hair? Like they're born with some hair and then they kind of lose it. He literally had the cul-de-sac. He went bald on top.
It's
had
called
the-
a skulde-sac.
Yes. Dude, he looked like an old man.
been a
Hardcore.
skull.
And we were
Reginald.
like, it's the name.
I
Get him a
got him
little-
with my back.
Get him a little baby
court.
monocle.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my dear Reginald.
Well, Alden's an old name too. It's an old school name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
I love
so
it.
funny.
Yeah.
Congrats.
You're daddy
Yeah,
again,
man.
bro.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm tired, but it's exciting.
Oh,
Yeah. Dude, that we were blessed with Layla. She is such a good sleeper.
So's Lainey for Lisa.
She literally, like, Layla, out of all three of our children, she's the only one that only whines when she legitimately needs something.
yeah.
Oh, I did want to mention this earlier. You re-mentioning that Kaylee is your adopted daughter. I totally 1000% forgot that she was adopted.
Yeah.
And so
That's the way I
just,
like it.
I just want you to know that in my mind, that I didn't even like until you brought that up tonight. I was like, oh yeah, like I had
Like-
forgotten. I think I like honestly, I think you're her dad. And
And
I-
Yeah.
I'm very blessed in that aspect. Like, that is something going in. I was like, I don't want to be a stepdad. I don't want to be an adopted dad. Like, I just want to be her dad. And obviously, it's like,
Let's not put labels.
it's
to it.
her. Like, it's her that kind of dictates that.
yeah.
But that's how it is. Like, I am her
Like
dad.
going into the teenage years and different things like that, has there been any signs where she's like, "You're not my father"?
Not at all.
That's good.
Like, it's so great. Like,
I am your father.
she calls me daddy. Like, I am her father. She's never, I don't even know if she's ever said my actual name. Like,
Even from
That's
the
weird.
beginning.
yeah.
Because my girls call me Austin on occasion. It is so weird.
Like, knock that off. But no,
I
she even calls, like, the bio dad she calls him by his first name.
See, and I think father is a title that's. I think dad's what's got to be earned. Dad's got to be earned.
Well, and it's so interesting because I think about it a lot because, like, growing up, I don't know. I just remember as a kid, I had it in my mind, like, you know, this perfect family. It's just a normal family. Mom and dad has the kids. You're just a perfect family. And when I was 12 years old, I found out that my sister was adopted by my dad. So she's actually my half sister. And I had no freaking idea. And it like ruined my perfect image of my family. I was like, we're not perfect. I remember crying and like, what's going on? I was so
You
confused.
ruined this
It's
family.
like, what is this? And now that I'm older and stuff, like I have a lot of friends and coworkers and stuff who I hear just like terrible stories from their family lives and stuff. And it's really shown me that like family is so much more than blood.
Oh yeah.
You could be blood related and it can be the worst human being on the planet to you.
Yeah.
And then like in my situation, it's like technically you're not my blood, but you are more my child than the person whose blood you have.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy to me. Like
I've seen it a lot. Like even my Jenny's sister and her husband, their first child, it was with another guy, but her current husband, the one that is now dad, he's 50 times better than biological dad. And it's like in my head, it's kind of like you just said for Cam. It's like I forget that he's not actually her father.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's
good.
awesome.
It makes me
That's-
happy because like we have fun. Like she loves, like we We listen to K-pop together. We watch movies together. She's getting into horror movies.
All right.
So every time she has
And you don't like them.
I love horror movies.
Oh, I thought you hated them because
No,
you never
everyone
want them
loves
on your
them.
Plex or
I hate
anything.
'em.
Are they not on my Plex?
I don't know.
Some are. I watch them.
Are you on his Plex?
Yeah.
No, Zach is.
Zach is. Dude, I watch horror movies all the time.
I don't
I
really.
want some
Me and
Apple
Shaylee love
shows.
it. Okay, that can be done. But no, yeah. So she's getting into horror movies, so we're always watching like.
Remit this
scary-
part.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, I'll pay
We
for
just
them.
publicly. Anyway,
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I'm talking the regular.
I'm gonna show him
movies
how
that
to
are on-
subscribe to Apple TV Plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's who would confuse that.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
But no, it's fun. Like she has late start to school on Wednesday, so she's like, "Dad, tomorrow's Wednesday. Horror movie tonight? Huh? Like she's
Nice.
convincing me. I'm like, sure, whatever. Let's do it.
Brindley talks a tough game when it comes to horror movies, and then she kind of fizzles out.
Dude, I love watching. It's funny because she nervous talks. So we'll be watching the movie and she's like, "Oh yeah, the monster's gonna be in the closet," and I'm like, "You're scared, aren't you?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Then stop talking."
Oh, so she's trying to downplay.
One of those.
She's trying to downplay it. I'm like, "Knock it off."
See, Alden hates horror movies, but like Lord of the Rings, there's some scary moments in those
Yeah.
movies and stuff, and he's all about it. He's like, get that work. Like,
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
he says that all the time. I found a picture that he wrote. That he drew from a while ago, and there's like a head. I was like, yeah, don't show that to your teacher. It's like a head, an orc head, and another guy, and he's like, guess meat's not back on the menu or something like that. I was like,
You ever seen the video where the guy
Clever.
goes off and he's like, "How would an orc know what a menu is?"
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That implies that there's restaurants in Middle Earth.
Yeah. There's inns.
True.
Prancing pony.
Do they have paper?
Paper. That just reminded me of, what was that, Waterworld? Paper.
Oh, I love Waterworld.
I
Paper.
haven't seen that forever.
I don't know why that memory came to me.
Oh man, yeah. We were just talking about that. I'm like, why don't my kids, like, for as big of a movie buff as I am, and Jenny is a little, she'll watch with me, but it's like they just don't get into movies. Like, we'll have an occasional movie night, but it takes us like 4 hours to get through an hour and a half, and it's just a mess.
I think it's just that they're not. I don't know.
like they would. They
They're
would
at the
rather,
mindless entertainment stage. They're not at the let me think about this
Yes.
movie. Because that's when you're like, oh, okay. Ooh,
We're
this is
used
cool.
to 10-second reels, so
Yeah.
Right.
oh, that's
yeah.
ruining everything.
I don't know. Brindley and Jew, they'll sometimes, if we can get the babies to bed and have a legitimate movie night, they'll watch stuff. But it's like it's not their choice. It's like we plan it to be a movie night. Where me as a kid, that's what I would do. It's like, oh, I got time to kill. I'm gonna plug in a movie. Like that's just how I was. But
Times have changed. Times are changing.
yeah, man.
that's awesome.
That's
Do we
fun.
even need to get
Oh,
into the
that's
news
it.
now?
I don't know.
That's-
I mean,
This is the end.
Yeah.
That was a perfect podcast.
Yeah,
all
that
about
was-
all about Chris.
all
I love
about-
it.
My bad.
He even hosted it.
Don't-
No, shut your mouth.
yeah, not you're bad.
That
You're
You
great.
say you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. On to the next level. You. I should have let you host that one.
He did basically.
Yeah, you did.
I talked a
Should
lot.
have had you.
You
intro.
alley-ooped it to him.
That's all that hosting
you're
is.
like,
is
and
talk.
what was that? And then what happened?
So I'll tell you what. This was supposed to. I mean, this was definitely somewhat of a vomit.
This was in my news.
But I think
My news.
we'll continue in the news for the next one because there's a lot of hot topics coming on.
Oh, not bad.
Or maybe we'll venture into the weird. I don't know. We'll decide. But anyway,
Both.
stay tuned to next week. It's also
Yeah.
going to be great. Congratulate Chris down in the comments.
Or
Very
don't.
awesome.
You don't
Let
have
him
to.
know
don't have
you
to.
love him.
All of our lives
What's
are
that?
changing so much
Hashtag.
this last year. Oh, hashtag.
Hashtag daddy.
Hashtag daddy.
I think we've done
Yeah.
daddy
Have we?
before.
I don't
But that's on
care.
a different one.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Father.
Hashtag
Just kidding. I don't care.
Father.
I am your
figure.
father.
I see you.
Too
I see
long.
your dad, bud, and I raised you a father figure.
whatever your word is for daddy, father, whatever.
We'll accept it.
I puppy.
Well,
Hi, Poppy. Padre.
Thanks again. And if you made it this
Yeah.
far and you're not subscribed, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe. Join us here at the table again next week, and we'll see you then.
Love you guys.
Thanks for being part of this crowd.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
Auf Wiedersehen.